What is up, my friends? How are we? You're very welcome along to Tuesday night's late night agenda. I know that there's games going on, but I do appreciate you coming in to have a chat with me. We're going to discuss, well, the future tonight, and youth is going to be a topic we're going to discuss as Calvin Ramsey once again gets let's say an unhonourable mention today. So we're going to talk about him. We're going to speak about points tallies. We're going to talk about Mohamed Salah and increased links with him to Al Ittihad over in the Saudi Pro League. We're going to ask, will it be this summer that Mo moves on? And of course, lots more over the next 90 minutes or so. A reminder, the Reds in action tomorrow. It's a 8:15 kickoff up at the Stadium of Light against Sunderland. The preview for that went out last night. It was a really difficult one, particularly hard to figure out the right back situation because, putting Endo in wasn't my first choice, but I would have liked to have put Ramsey in the team, but I know there's no chance in hell that Arna's going to play him, and I'd already used up my one anti-Arna card, if you want to call it that, by putting Chiesa in on the left side. So, yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it goes. I think we may see Curtis Jones there tomorrow, but let's wait and see what happens. So after that, then, of course, it's an FA Cup game on Saturday, 8 p.m. kickoff against Brighton. But as we sit right now, we were below Everton for a little while, but thankfully they've managed to go full Everton, capitulate and concede two and pick themselves up a little red card. So thankfully we are back above them in the league table, which is good. United, they're drawing, or at least they were just before I came on, and Chelsea are 2-1 up against Leeds. So any updates on that, please do let me know throughout the stream. Trucking Songs, said, play Ramsey, bench Gakpo, slot out, thanks. Love it. Short to the point. Nothing wrong with that, mate. Nothing wrong with that. You would imagine. I remember when we signed Calvin Ramsey, going back and watching some of his breakthrough season with Aberdeen and thinking, I can see why we're going from, a young, up-and-coming right back. Now, I understand that it's a big leap to throw him into a Premier League game, especially when we need to win. Oh, 2-2 in the Chelsea game. Oh, hello. That's interesting. 2-2. Wow. Oh, could be a bit of hope there for us. 2-2. Nice. Do keep me informed on that one, ladies and gents, because, of course, that's a game that has a big impact on us. So, yeah, back to the Calvin Ramsey situation. We do have a poll running where we're asking, are you disappointed, basically, with the lack of opportunities given to youth players? Or the actual wording is, should Slot trust in young players more? It is a difficult one, and I've spoken about this many times over the years. I always have sympathy with managers in these positions because it's difficult to throw a youngster in on such a big occasion, but at some point you got to sink or swim, right? And if Calvin Ramsey is going to make it at Liverpool, well, he's not a 16, 17-year-old kid. He's been around a while now and he's had injuries, yes, but if we're not going to trust him now when we really, really need a right back, when will we ever trust them? So I guess the point I'm trying to make here is, are we wasting our time with the youth policies that we have with the club because the manager doesn't seem to want to bring too many of them through? Or maybe that's unfair. Maybe I should say the manager doesn't believe that many of them are ready to make the breakthrough to first team football. And it, of course, leads back into the conversation of the whole situation with why put players on the bench if you don't trust them. And then again, maybe that conversation is a Hughes and Edwards one. I don't know. We need Chelsea to lose this game, please God. I know, but how crappy is it? And you're right, by the way, but how crappy is it that we're in this kind of mindset where that's what we have to hope for, that Chelsea drop points? Yeah, let's wait and see. But we've gone from 2-0 up to 2-2. I mean, certainly watched the first half of it and they were fairly controlling of the game against Leeds, but fair play for Leeds getting back into it, and hopefully they can at least hang on there. But, I do fear they'll push and find a winner. Right, let's get cracking with some of the info for the day. Let's talk firstly about... Actually, let's talk about this from Paul Scholes. And I want to know if you agree with this or not, because I think it's a bit unfair, but, everyone's entitled to their opinion. So Paul Scholes has said, if Arsenal win the league, this could be the worst team to win the league. Do you remember the start of the season? They could only win games by set pieces. They've got a lot of players that need to prove themselves, prove that they can win the league. If you're thinking of picking a team of the season and you pick a front four, who out of the Arsenal team gets in that? Saka possibly the only one, and I don't think he's been brilliant. They still don't have a centre forward. It's a different way of doing it. So would you agree? I think it's really harsh, to be fair. And I defended us in this position where other people were trying to undermine our league title win. Look, if your team wins the league, do you really give a shit if they are the worst team to do it or not. You've won the league. And that's what your aim is at the start of the season. So Paul Scholes is, of course, entitled to his opinion, the same as everybody else. But I just think it's a little bit belittling of Arsenal, because defending is part of the game. Set pieces are part of the game. And there's nothing wrong with being robust defensively, you know, especially in a season where the way it's panned out has been that good set piece proficiency, good defensive structure has got Arsenal to where they are. So I don't think it's right for him to say that, but I also disagree with him. I think, you know, if we look back through the years, there's probably been worse teams than this Arsenal team that have won a league title. They're the most consistent. Exactly. And that's what you need in a title race. You need consistency. You know, I think we outlasted everybody last year, fitness-wise, which was a big part of the reason why I think we got over the line. And this year, Arsenal have found a way to be consistent in a season filled with inconsistencies across the board. Especially from us. I mean, I don't need to tell you about our inconsistency. But one man who is starting to show a bit more consistency and has been named the Standard Chartered Player of the Month for January is Florian Wirtz, Liverpool's number 7. Congratulations to Florian on that. Very well deserved. And hopefully he continues to kick on. Tipperary said Arsenal have been the best team this year and have kept their standards up. I agree. It might not be the most breathtaking, entertaining football, but it's impactful, it's effective, and it's getting the job done. And I promise you, if I was in Arsenal fan's shoes right now, and this was us, I wouldn't give a damn. I wouldn't give a damn about the style of football if we were winning the league. Like I didn't give a damn last year how we particularly played. We won the league, and that was the game at the start of the season. Right, let's keep going. Let's talk. Do you know what? I want to talk about the tone in the Liverpool fan base at the minute, because I've been sitting back and observing a little bit more over the last day or two, and proactively looking at social media a bit more, at least getting stuff sent to me from social media a bit more. And I think it's fair to say that far from being the most toxic outlet with the anti-Arna stuff, I'm not even in the halfway house. My goodness, I've seen some of the reaction. Did you see the presser today? Connor, I think, did it in his morning video. He showed the transcript or the comments on the Anfield, on the Liverpool press conference earlier on. And it's just comment after comment saying manager out, Arna out, Arna out. And so I don't know who these journalists think are the ones that are fully behind the manager and trusting the process, because overwhelmingly on any platform we look on, it seems to be the narrative is that people aren't happy with the manager, and I understand it. Now, I do agree, a lot of the comments are going too far. That is always the way in social media, and that's always the way in the internet. Some of the comments are, you know, way below the belt, but the opinion of we aren't good enough, and the style of football isn't good enough, and the coach isn't good enough, that's a consistent team right across the board. I don't think this round of games matters, to be honest. Where we ain't beaten Sunderland, that's where we are. I don't know what to expect tomorrow, mate. I really don't know what to expect in the game against Sunderland. I went for a 3-2 chaotic victory in my preview, but truly not really sure what to expect from the game. Something stood out to me, though. Simon Brundish, always very good on football statistics and stuff like that. Simon posted something to talk about the lack of intensity in running, basically, in Liverpool's team compared to years gone by. And Liverpool ran 110 kilometres against Manchester City. Manchester City ran 118 kilometres. So we were outrun by 8 kilometres. Lost high-speed running, less sprinting. We had a week off. And that was Simon's point. And it's a good one. Like I said, Manchester City had played midweek. We had 8 days to prepare. 8 days to be at our peak and ready. And we were still outran by 8 kilometres. That's just not good enough. And that wouldn't happen in years gone by. Quite simply just wouldn't happen, particularly at Anfield. So yeah, what's going on? Why are we unable to keep up with the intensity? And we've talked about it this season quite a bit with some of our players, like huffing and puffing after 70, 75 minutes. The manager saying they're unable, the likes of Hugo Ekitike coming in, Florian Wirtz, unable to play at the intensity for 90 minutes twice a week as they build up time in the Premier League. But I don't think that explains the drop-off. It's just not good enough again, and a lack of the hard yards being run there. Almost like, what is it? 0.7 kilometres per man if you take the goalkeepers into account or out of account, less than Manchester City, who had played a game midweek. Slot needs to F off. He's burying the club deep to the ground, said LFC-FL. Tipperary said if Slot hadn't torn the squad to sunder, we'd be toe-to-toe with Arsenal and have every chance of back-to-back Prems. Anfield Viewpod said, Craig, if you were a young player in our academy, you'd be going up to your agent to get me out of here. I'd certainly have questions, yeah. I can't argue with you on that one, bro. I'd certainly have questions about my long-term future or my development because, you know, we haven't seen anybody really brought on from Arna since, you know, nobody brought through really that wasn't being brought through beforehand. And if you look at our bench, it's kind of like a who's who of youngsters that we know aren't going to get minutes. And then he bemoans the fact that players are injured, but he's been ignoring his bench. And this is a gripe I've had with Arna for, well, his whole time at the club, quite frankly, that he doesn't utilise that bench enough, or he doesn't trust what's on the bench. But either way, it's not a good situation, right? Either the manager not trusting the bench, or the manager not rating the bench. I mean, either way, he's just not using them. So you got to ask the question, what's going on with our academy? So there's been a couple of articles doing the round saying that there's been a kind of butting of heads between Richard Hughes and Arne Slot about Arne Slot wanting here and now players, Richard Hughes wanting, you know, to be supplemented with the academy products. And I'm kind of on the side of Richard Hughes in that debate, to be honest with you. You know, of course, managers are here and now people who need the results here and now, but the club needs to look to the future. And if we're bringing in the greatest of talent from up and down the UK and around Europe at a young age, there has to be a clear pathway through. Or players just simply aren't going to come to Liverpool, the best young players. If they don't see a pathway into that first team, you know, what's the likelihood of their families or their agents saying to them, yeah, this is a club where you go develop? I mean, I know it's the extreme other end of it, but you look at the little niche that Borussia Dortmund have set up for themselves over the years, where top players go there, they know they're going to get game time, they know they're going to develop, and then they become stars and go off elsewhere, bring in Dortmund money. And I'm not suggesting that's the model Liverpool go down, but either our academy is producing talent or it isn't. And if it isn't producing talent that's not good enough for the first team, well, that's a whole other debate, right, about what's going on at the academy. But I don't think that's the case. I just think that this manager's under pressure right now and doesn't want to chance playing youthful players. But all he keeps doing is going round in this circle of excuses, and fans are getting fed up of it. Slot slagging Ramsey is so unnecessary, said Aaron. It's just silly. It's just silly. Like, it's, you know, regardless of what your thoughts are privately about a player, whether you rate them or not, to just come out and say you've got better options, and then a few weeks later, we're kind of looking around going, well, Gomez is out, Frimpong's out, Bradley's out, Szoboszlai's suspended, so what you going to do now? You know, surely Bradley's worth a run. Like, if you're asking me, do I want a fullback who hasn't played much but is, you know, accustomed to that position, or to shoehorn another midfielder in there, I probably would go for the youthful player. So, you know, at least people would be understanding. If you played Calvin Ramsey and he didn't have a good performance, people would be understanding that, well, okay, he hasn't played much. So that's the downside. But the potential upside could be, well, you've seen it before. Players come in, take their chance, and really progress and kick on. So, yeah, it's, again, I think it's just going to be another nail in Arne Slot's head coach coffin at Liverpool, if you want to say that. Do you think Diaz left because of Slot? No, I don't. I think Diaz left because of money. Now, I'm not saying he's right or wrong, or Liverpool were right or wrong, but genuinely I think that's the reason he left. Liverpool weren't willing to pay him what he wanted. And I think there's probably an understanding from fans that he was being underpaid, but we don't know what the conversations were about the levels that he wanted to get to. So, yeah, no, I don't think that it was because of Slot. I think it was a financial matter, and it'd been in the works for a little bit, to be honest. The summer before, he was nearly heading to Manchester City, or at least he was open to going to Manchester City. Andre Nielsen said, people forget 66 only got a chance because Nathaniel Klein got injured. Ramsey could be the next 66, but we'll never know as he doesn't get the chance. Exactly. Like, I can tell you as a fan, I would have far more patience if Calvin Ramsey made a mistake than I would have with, let's say, Curtis Jones or Endo or a senior player making a mistake in a fullback position. So, from every aspect here, I think it just makes sense to give Calvin Ramsey an opportunity. And I think I'm not on my own in that. You know, of course, we're always going to be disappointed if Liverpool don't win or don't play well. But at least if you put in a young player and give him a chance, fans would go, all right, well, that didn't work out. Or, you know, it'll be a learning experience with a young lad if he's turned inside out or something like that. But either way, it's progressing him and it's giving him minutes and opportunities. What's the benefit of shoehorning a midfielder in at right back other than we're losing something in another area of the pitch? Which has been a huge, understandable gripe from many Reds around the situation with Dominic Szoboszlai. You know, they understand he can be utilised at right back, but we also know there's a knock-on impact then, and we lose more further up the pitch. Hey Craig, love the show. Thank you, appreciate you. Slot at the minute reminds me of Benitez. He didn't let youngsters through. I'm open to being wrong. Do you know what? I don't really remember the situation with Benitez and young players. So I'd have to go back and look at it. But I don't have an initial instinct either way, one way or the other, mate. But I just think deep down he knows. I feel like everybody knows that it's just like he's treading water at the minute. The story that was coming out last night, and I cautiously use the word story, but this idea that Arna might walk away from Liverpool rather than be fired because he thinks that'd be better for his reputation or whatever, I don't believe that. Not for 1 second. I mean, that was the Indy Kayla thing that came out last night. I just don't believe that for 1 second. You know, why would a manager walk away from a potential 7 million quid payoff or 6 million quid payoff just to prove a point? Because, look, let's be honest about it. If he gets sacked from Liverpool, he's still going to get a good job somewhere else. He's won a league title with Liverpool. Like, there's nobody trying to say that Slot doesn't have something about him as a coach. And like I've always said, with me, it definitely isn't a personal thing. It's just I refuse to look at what we're looking at and acknowledge anything other than it isn't good enough. Craig, the person who used the word to describe how they feel disconnected, that is 100% how I feel. I watch Slot during the games and sometimes think he's run out of excuses. Disconnected was the perfect word for me, Paddy Wacker. Yeah, that was why when that person, and I forgive me, I can't remember who it was, but when they said that, it just struck a chord with me as well, because that is exactly how I feel about the situation, just disconnected. And not just disconnected from the manager or the head coach, but disconnected from the club. Like, as a Liverpool fan right now, I don't feel valued. And I'm not saying that from a content perspective. I'm saying that from just, it's really demoralising hearing that online fans are a problem constantly. It really just winds me up. You know, it's just almost like sticking two fingers up to the people that have allowed the growth of the club. Because no club, Liverpool, Manchester United, none of them could survive with just stadiums full of people. You know, nobody. Oh, 1-0 West Ham. Uh-oh. 1-0 West Ham. Time to put the old scissors away there. The United Strand lad. Do you know what? It was going to be interesting to see if he got his hair cut. After that, it's a mighty head of hair, by the way. I got to give it to him. It's a fine head of hair, obviously, you know. But wow, that could be good for us. Good. Hopefully they can hold that out, and then that'll. So there's either pros or negatives from playing after everybody else that's above you. We know now that both the teams above us currently, I think, as we sit here now, are dropping points. So that would be a good thing for Liverpool and surely spur them on tomorrow to go up to Sunderland to get a result, or at least to present us with a big opportunity. So yeah, let's do keep me up to date with what's going on there, and hopefully the Hammers can get something from that game and Leeds can hang on against Chelsea as well. Either way, he'll become really more famous. No, he'll once his hair is cut, I think that's the end of him. That's his shtick done. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but once his hair is cut, his hair is cut. I don't really see much more for him after that. So, if I was him at this point, and again I'm not, but if I was him at this point, I'd be almost thinking a draw keeps this, going on. Honestly. Because everybody knows that he's waiting for the haircut, and it's I was even listening on TNT and they were talking about it in the comms. But once the haircut's done, and United win 5 in a row, then that's the end of it, probably. Right, actually, let's keep going. Let's keep going because I've got lots more I wanted to go through. Let's talk about Jurgen Klopp for a minute, because this nonsense about him going to Real Madrid just won't go away. This piece here from Defensa Central said, Jurgen Klopp has laid out his plans to take over Real Madrid this summer, requesting 2 centre-backs, 2 midfielders, and the return of Endrick as part of his conditions. Now, whatever about that story, the last line is the part that really made me think, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? I demand Endrick come back. I demand it. Endrick, who got sent off at the weekend for Lyon. I can't see that being the make or break thing. And I never believe these stories about him going to Real Madrid, nor do I ever think it's going to happen. So let's wait and see. But again, there's just so much shite being posted out there, so many lies being posted about transfer stuff, that it kind of makes me chuckle. Because, some of us YouTubers get a little bit of grief, but imagine I was trying to come on here and sell you some of the stories that the likes of Indy Kayla and others have been posting. It's just nonsense. And this whole Real Madrid Jurgen Klopp thing feels like nonsense to me. He's everything that Real Madrid isn't. He has class, he has respect, he's not a Real Madrid manager in my head. Real Madrid's always obsessed with Liverpool. Look, Atletico Madrid, I could maybe see Jurgen at in the future, or could maybe have seen him at in the past. The kind of plucky underdog that has a chance and, could make it there, but Real Madrid just doesn't seem it. Trucking Song said, lots of people wearing fancy dress, blue seats. Do you know what? Thank you for bringing that up, mate. And this isn't a dig at Everton. This is just something I've noticed across the Premier League this season. Maybe you guys have seen it as well. There seems to be a lot more empty seats in Premier League grounds. Or maybe I'm just tuning into games that happen to have a few more empty seats. But I've been looking around a bit lately, and even semi-final second legs of the League Cup and stuff, there seems to be quite a few empty seats in football stadiums. Now, obviously, at Anfield, we know how difficult it is to get in. But I wonder if people are just being priced out more and more as there's a cost of living pressure on everybody. And, football's not cheap to go to. So, let me know if you've seen that as well. It just feels like maybe the football bubble price-wise is bursting a little bit. And some of these, maybe they're hospitality seats or whatever, I don't know. But they certainly look like there's a bit less demand these days than maybe there was in years gone by for some tickets. He can't keep ignoring youth. They create depth and fund future transfers. By Cecic, Ramsey, Nioni and Rio losing value. And Slot is not it. I agree. I mean, look at the clubs that, like Manchester City, have done it quite well in recent years. Chelsea have done it brilliantly. Brought in, and this, to me, by the way, comes back to the whole idea of the multi-club model. And this is where, again, I'm wondering, how the fuck is the calculator kid getting away with it? Like, truly. We know what Hughes does or what he's supposed to do day to day, but what's the calculator kid at? He was being brought back in to be FSG CEO of football and to find another club for them to buy, to be part of a multi-club model. And again, we would have assumed that our youthful players are going over to gain some experience in some of these leagues and then maybe come back into the Prem. And, there's a similar philosophy of football. So you send them to your sister club, they develop there. If they do well, happy days. If not, you move them on. But either way, they're getting experience. So what the fuck is going on? Because it's been, 18 months since he's been back in and still no other club. Hey Craig, love the channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Thank you for becoming a member with us for the last 5 months, mate. Thank you so much. Yeah. When we sniff around a player to buy, City are right on it. So I don't understand why Mark Gay was getting booed at Anfield, by the way. I got to put that out there. I don't understand it. It's not like he had a decision to make where there's two offers on the table that were both the same and he chose to go to Manchester City. Somebody's only as good as their options. And, he wasn't presented with an option to join Liverpool in January. So I just don't understand, I don't understand the booing of him, other than the fact that it's a Man City player and they're all mercenaries in my eyes. But apart from that, I don't understand the booing. Oh, it's full time at Chelsea. Nice. That's brilliant. That's brilliant news. Chelsea have drawn. We'll take that. That definitely gives us a shout tomorrow now. We got to go out there and make sure that we capitalise on that. No point in seeing them drop points and us not capitalise. So hopefully this just G's the lads up even more for tomorrow to go up to the Stadium of Light and get a win. Wow. Did not see that coming. Got to be honest with you. Didn't see Leeds getting points off Chelsea at the bridge, but we'll take it. We'll take that. I don't know the reason why Chiesa is always on the bench for slot guys. I'm tired. It's not just him, though. Like last season, it was him and Elliott. And this season, it's him and Rio. And then you look at the bench, we've got two goalkeepers on it. Our depth is absolutely appalling. Absolutely appalling. And that's not an Arna problem, by the way. We've got to be fair about the critique in there. The depth thing is a Richard Hughes problem. So yeah, it all just doesn't stack up to a harmonious behind the scenes. Look at our bench the weekend. No options. No, and look, we're not absolutely fucked with injuries. Like, it's not like we've got 7, 8, 9 injuries. We just don't have great squad depth, and when you start to have any injuries, that squad depth starts to show up as being frail. Trucking Song said, I have no confidence on us capitalising on Chelsea. Look, we're fans, mate. I have to have hope. I have to get up tomorrow and believe that we're going to go up there and get a win and capitalise. Because if we don't have any hope left, what's the point? We've got to have hope. Yeah. And I refuse to just be defeatist and say we can't go up to Sunderland and get a result. I understand the mixed emotions for people, because every positive result we get, the facilitators of this nonsense come out of the woodwork to show, oh, look, everyone loves the manager, everyone's playing for the manager, everybody's great. Look, there's a man with an Arna Slot sticker up there in row 75 up in the corner. It's just, it's used as a way to demoralise us again. Like, we shouldn't be happy winning. It feels like everything is set up now to just wind and gaslight fans up, and it pisses me off. No, I don't think Slot should trust youngsters, because the bench should be full of world-class players. Really? I mean, I agree with you to some extent. There should be good players on the bench, but nothing wrong with having some youth brought through. Otherwise, we might as well close down the academy. What's the point? If you're not bringing through players that go on to play first-team football or bring you in revenue, then what's the point of the academy? So you've got to, at some point, trust your academy coaches to develop the lads to the level they need to be, or, as I said, just shut the doors, at Kirby. Jack, how are you, Jack? Do you think Alonso will already have a new job by the time the season ends? Can't afford to let him take the City job, in my opinion. It's an interesting one, mate, and not by the end of the season, no. I don't think he'll have committed by the end of the season, but I would say if Pep Guardiola is going to step aside, and again, that's an unknown at this moment in time, you would imagine that Manchester City's officials are looking around, but Maresca seems to be the guy. I think Maresca's already had 3 meetings or something like that with Manchester City executives, so certainly would be keeping an eye on the Alonso situation, but it feels, I don't know, it feels like surely this is what's going to happen. Alonso comes into Liverpool, Arne gets fired, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Right, so we asked, should Salah trust young players more? And 92% of you guys have said yes, he should be trusting young players more. Right, let's move on. A bit more I wanted to go through. Let's talk about Manchester City. Because Team Talk reckon Manchester City are preparing a £100 million move for Nottingham Forest 23-year-old England midfielder Elliot Anderson. City view Anderson as an ideal long-term addition, capable of bringing energy, tactical versatility and future-proofing to the engine room of the midfield. I can't be the only one who doesn't think Elliot Anderson's worth £100 million. I can't be. Like last night we ran a poll and we asked you guys, would you prefer Elliot Anderson or Wharton at Liverpool? And it was Wharton that won that one. Now, there was an option for neither, and I think that was 23% if my memory's right. But ultimately, you guys went for Wharton. Oh, United have made it 1-1. United made it 1-1. Why is Kroopy in the thumbnail? I'll explain that one in a minute, my man. I'll explain that one in a minute, don't worry. It is on the agenda to work through. How long's left in that United game then? Quarter past 1, 15, 20, 15. What, there must be 25? Something like that to go in it, is there? Half an hour. Cool. Thank you. Actually, do you know what? Let's just get straight to the Kroopy thing because, the gentleman asked the question. So caught offside. He's offside, is he? Is he off? Some people are saying he's off. He's way off. He's offside. Good. Keep the good news coming, folks. Come on. Since I've come on here, it's been all good news. Chelsea equalisers conceded left, right and centre. Everton going down to 10 and losing. Just give us a confirmation when you guys know whether he's on or off. Offside. Is it? Have you got a confirmation on that one? That meme guy said, I watched both Anderson and Wharton, and from what I've seen, Anderson was better. It's ruled out. Thank you. Appreciate that. I like Elliot Anderson. I think he's a really good player. I do. And when we played Nottingham Forest, he really did impress me. But Wharton just feels like a Liverpool player to me. I don't know. Sometimes you just get that vibe. So I'd be in the Wharton camp, but I do think they're both good players. So, cool. That one's ruled offside. Thank you. So, on the Kroopy thing, just to get back to the gentleman's question, called offside have said that Liverpool are considering a summer move for Bournemouth forward Eli Junior Kroopy, a 19-year-old French striker who was impressed in the Premier League this season. The teenager has been linked with, are you ready? A potential £80 million valuation after a breakout campaign, attracting interest from several top clubs, including Liverpool. Now, I'm going to say this out loud, just to make sure everybody hears it. We don't need to spend £80 million on a fucking striker. We have two. So please don't piss up £80 million up against the wall for a striker that we don't need. We need a tricky winger, we need a couple of centre-backs, and we need a defensive midfielder. So for the love of God, please don't spend £80 million on a 19-year-old kid who's barely dipped his feet in Premier League football yet. No, just stop. The madness has to fucking stop. That's crazy amounts of money. It's crazy. Like, You know the way it used to be? You bought a youngster with potential. Now it's, and I've heard this talked about, by the way, as club directors say, I think the example used was Brighton. That when Brighton are selling a player, they want to sell the player at the top valuation of their potential. Not where they are now, but where they might get to. So let's say, for instance, a young centre-back was coming through at Brighton, played a season in the Premier League and done well, and still needed to develop, but could become a £100 million centre-back. Well, their thought process is, well, we want that 100 million now, because he can go on to become a 100 million centre-back, so we want that 100 million. Football's going mental. It's losing the run of itself with the money, like, and again, it kind of just leans back into what we're saying. You and I and all the other football fans around the world pay for this madness. So that may be why we're starting to see a few more empty seats inside grounds, because the prices are just getting ridiculous. And, you know, it's all very well and good us all saying pay for it, but ultimately it ends up in higher TV subscription costs, higher shirt costs, higher match attendance costs, higher membership costs, just more money out of your pocket as well. So yeah, please no £80 million forward. We don't need an £80 million striker. We need a winger, a DM and a couple of centre-backs. Stargirl, let me get to your super chat, mate. Sorry I missed it till now. I thought Slot was hired to bring young players through the academy. Even Hughes said that. I've not seen any young player get more than 3 games. So Stargirl, you've been really good at reminding me about a lot of stuff since Arnold has come in. Like, where's the similarities between the style of football with Klopp that he was supposed to have? Well, that's gone out the window. And like you've said, yes, he was brought in to try to bring through the younger players and develop as well. And I agree with you 100%. I can't think of anybody that he's really developed and brought on. I know of a few younger players that he set back. And again, I don't understand why he publicly said I have better options than Calvin Ramsey. That's just a stupid thing to say about one of your own players. So I agree with you, yeah. Certainly hasn't done enough to bring young players through. Who's the striker you're referring to? Kroupi, mate. Kroupi. Eli Jr. Kroupi, spelled Kroupi. And also, didn't we just sign that young kid, Will, pardon me, I can't remember his surname, from Salford? The guy who Arsenal were after, United were after, and we ended up getting Will, I can't remember his surname, apologies. But yeah, we signed him, and isn't he not supposed to be, you know? And then, of course, we still have other young strikers coming through as well. Will Wright, thank you, yeah, that was the guy I was trying to think of. So yeah, like, we have our own players to develop. Jayden Danns, another example, another young striker that's at the club that we need to develop through. So yeah, we don't need to be going out there dropping money on young strikers when we have 2 at the club. Jayden said, hi, do you prefer the traditional logo or the new one? Really good question, my man. Do you know what? Nobody's ever asked me that before. That's a unique question, Jayden. Thank you. I was weirdly looking back the other day. I was on the Liverpool website and I was going through the store and I was going through a few bits and bobs, and I have a collection of pins, which is all the club's badges, or 8 different versions of it. I can understand why they use the Liver Bird solely with LFC for branding now, the way, you know, the world is, and you want your brand to be recognisable easily and to be somewhat minuscule, or minimal is probably the word I'm looking for. So I do like it. But I'm a sucker for the old one. The centenary badge, you know, that era of badge, that has my heart still. So the older ones are probably still ones for me. But I think the Liver Bird, the branding does work on a lot of stuff, yeah. But I'm a fan of the older crests, personally. Martin said, Craig, Slot improved any player's youth or established since he came through the door. I can't think of any of the top of my head, or am I missing something? Players, I would say he's improved Curtis Jones. And I know that's not a young player, but I'm just trying to think of any player I think that he's improved since he's come in. And Curtis Jones would be one. I do think Curtis Jones has come on under Arna. Might be more of a footballing philosophy that Curtis Jones is more suited to, perhaps. But other than him, can't really think of anybody else. Gravenberch, did he make him better, or did he just reinvent him in a different position? But either way, it's fair. So let's give him Ryan Gravenberch as well. I'm not going to say he made Dominic Szoboszlai any better, because I think this is more a case of Szoboszlai finally just settling into the Premier League and the rhythm of it, Matt, rather than anything the manager's done. Because if anything, we all thought we were slightly underwhelmed a little bit with Dom initially while he settled in, but we knew what he was capable of becoming and what a good player he is. So, yeah, they're the only two I can think of, really. Salah didn't improve. Salah had a good season, but he didn't improve. He had a better season than that if you look back from a goals return. So I wouldn't give him improving Salah, especially when he's been benching him this season. Ibu as senior centre-back after VVD would be nice for Xhaka. Yeah, the situation with Ibu was an interesting one, because there's a piece that I'll move on to actually now. Where is it? Yeah, this piece here from Mario Cartagena, who said Real Madrid have told Liverpool they're not in the race to sign Ibrahima Konate. So I really don't understand what is going on with Konate, because I've not seen really many links to him, let's say, to Paris Saint-Germain, which would be, his hometown club. His form this season's been erratic, but he is liked and admired by Liverpool players, or fans, excuse me, and players. So it really is an interesting one why that can't be sorted out, because if you're Konate, you surely think, well, I am going to be one of the leaders of this defence moving forward. You've got Jeremy Xhaka coming in, you've got young Giovanni Leone, and if Konate really believes that he can go on to be our new Virgil van Dijk level of defender, well, then prove yourself. I know he wants Virgil van Dijk money, but I don't think he's deserving of Virgil van Dijk money yet, but he can get there. And this is a consistent thing I've said, by the way, if you go back and look at other streams. Konate is one contract away, for me, from getting to that big money. I think he needs to prove himself a little bit more over another year or two to deserve the 250 a week type money. But what I'm really struggling with are, what are the better options for him? Like, really, what are the better options? Because if it's a financial decision, okay, fair enough. Maybe you go to Saudi, maybe you go to another club who are going to pay you more. But if it's about football, and if it's about, being settled, winning, being competitive, well, surely Liverpool's a really good option. We're there or thereabouts. Just won the Premier League. So I don't understand how this negotiation is at this point still, where we're now into the latter few months of his contract and no sign of a breakthrough. I know you said it would be a huge cloud over new managers. I still think Klopp should be the sporting director. His influence on the academy alone. Look, I would love it, but you also have to take into account the calculator kid. Sorry, just to make it clear, I'm talking about Michael Edwards when I say that. You have to make, reference to the fact that it's believed, or at least it's been spoken about, that there may have been a disagreement or a clash between those two over the direction of the football club in the past, or how to value older players is probably a fairer way to say it. So with him still at the club, I just don't see any world where Jurgen comes back in. I just don't. Not with the calculator kid still around. Craig, how do you get Liverpool away tickets? I've never got one. So I'm not the person. I know George. If George is in our chat, maybe he can help you out. I know he's going to his first away tomorrow for the Sunderland game, but I've never been to an away Liverpool game other than Champions League finals. But yeah, I've no idea. Credit wise, best of luck. None of us will have the credits to do it. So. Paddy Wacker said, Craig, would you change the captain? I'm thinking about now, taking the ban from VVD and give it to somebody else. I'm thinking Dominic would be more aggressive and throw in a few truths. So here, look, my problem with this is, I think the captain and the manager are too similar personality-wise or body language-wise. And that's too laid back for my liking. Now, I've had this gripe for a long time. But would I take the armband off Virgil? No, I wouldn't. Virgil van Dijk's the club captain, and I would keep him with the armband until his time at Liverpool is up, and then Dominic Szoboszlai is a more than good candidate, yes. But I just think that languid, relaxed, kind of Dutch persona, body language, it just isn't working for me, and it adds to the disconnect because I cannot take seeing Arna. I just can't. I'm just, his whole demeanor just makes me feel just fuck. You know that gif of the stick poking thing. Just do something. That's kind of how I feel all the time. Christ's sake, man, get emotional, get up in their faces, like put the fear of God into them. Sometimes is what you just want the manager to do. It's clear the generational manager understood football better than the Moneyball guy. Hey, if you're asking me to pick, I'm on Team Jurgen, of course. But I just was answering Stargirl as to why I don't think it's possible that he'd come back. Right, so I want to ask you this question in the poll, and then I'll get into the reasoning why. So, 1 second. Right. So, I'm going to put this poll in and then I'm going to explain why it's up. So, I'm asking, do you expect Salah to leave this summer? And the reason I'm asking it is, there's been a report today from Foot Mercado, I believe, that said Al Ittihad have opened talks with Mohamed Salah's representatives about a potential move next summer. It goes on to say that Mohamed Salah and his agent are in discussions with Al Ittihad. And unlike last year, Salah is much more open to an arrival in Saudi Arabia. This could satisfy all parties. And there's talk of somewhere between 30 to 50 million pound as a transfer fee. So I'm starting to feel for the first time that he may leave this summer. I genuinely believed when he signed that new deal that he would see out the 2 years. But I think the way things are at the minute, he probably will feel like now he could go. I wonder what would happen if we change coach. I wonder would this conversation change. I don't know is the honest answer. But for the first time ever, I actually do think he's going to leave. Now, you might say it's the right time for all parties. That's a whole other conversation. But for the first time in his time at Liverpool, I really feel that this summer is the time he goes. Love over H8 said, Craig, I agree with you. Virgil and Arne are two similar vibes right now. Too relaxed. I want a more up-in-your-face captain right now because what happens on the field will benefit more. Exactly. Hendo was in the ref's faces, barking, giving instructions. I want a vocal leader like that as well. But I'm okay for having a calm, relaxed captain if I've got my aggression on the sideline. But having no aggression in either place, for me, it just doesn't cut the mustard. But I'm old school. I'm always motivated more by somebody being up in my face, whether it's, working in a kitchen or whether that's, out on a football pitch. I'm more of a I'll show you kind of guy. That was what would motivate me. But I guess all footballers are different. Some are motivated, I guess, by tactical tweaks. Some may be motivated by, I don't know, their own just desire to win. But I just don't like the balance of having two calm personas. I want to go back to something I said from the other day because I've thought about this long and hard and it needs to stop. So let me just get back to this piece. There was a piece by Jonathan Norcroft the other day, and the piece basically said that a senior Anfield insider or an executive has said that nobody's patient enough and fans aren't patient enough. And it got me thinking, I think that these things are being used now as a stick to beat fans with. Because if this Anfield executive really thinks that, own your comments. Stop being a pussy. And this bothers me because journalists love to talk about online toxicity and anonymity that's provided by the internet. And I touched on it a bit last night. But it's the same here. Like, they're basically saying Liverpool fans are too impatient. But they're putting it out into the world with anonymity. Nobody knows who said what or if anyone said anything. And I'm not saying that journalists should be giving up their sources, but what I am saying is, if an executive feels that way and wants to talk about it, then grow a pair. Stand up and say it. And the reason they won't is because they know it's wrong. They know if they come out and say it, they're going to be pushed back on. So they're being pussies. And I don't like cowards. I don't like people that don't stand over their words. If you have something to say, say it. If you don't have something to say, your opinion is irrelevant because you're being a pussy and you're hiding in the shadows, afraid to stand over your comments. So if you want to bite the hand that literally feeds you with Liverpool fans, own those comments or stop being a coward. I'm Aussie. Games are early here. I don't care about the result as much as I care about how we play the game. And if we lose, but play well, if we just get outplayed, fine. I just want effort, and that's not showing. You're right. It isn't. We are too slow to find our way into games. We start games way too slowly. Even last season when things were going well for us, one of the things that we spoke about quite a bit, mate, was, why are we waiting until the second half? And I asked, and it was a genuine thought process, are we trying to grind teams down and then hope our fitness will get us through in the last part? But I've always been a fan of go out there, blitz them, try to score early, build a lead, and then you get to rest players. Then you get to take players off. And under Jurgen, we always had the ability to have that 10 or 15 minute spell that we could just blow teams away. I don't feel that anymore. Even now when we go 2 goals up, I'm still a bit nervous. So I don't disagree with you, mate. And I definitely sympathise with you having to be up so early over an Oz to feel like you're seeing a perceived lack of effort out there from the players, because Liverpool fans will excuse a lot, but a lack of effort or a lack of fight is definitely not something that sits well with Liverpool fans. Right, let's keep going. More stuff to go through. Some interesting stats that I talked about in the video earlier on. So Liverpool, the reigning Premier League champions, have conceded at least two more result-altering goals in the 90th minute than any other team in the Premier League this season. So Liverpool have conceded 6 result-altering goals in the 90th minute or after this season. And the next is Leeds with 4, Bournemouth 3, Brighton 3, Chelsea 3, Fulham 3. Liverpool top of that. Most result-altering 90-minute goals conceded, 6. So we're obviously tiring mentally at the end of games and we're capitulating. That's on the coach. That is 100% on the coach. There is no pushing this one aside. That's on him because he's setting that tone. And either the players aren't fit enough, but something's going on at the end of games where we're conceding way too many points being dropped. Another one is days since 5 wins in a row, which I'll move on to in a second, which of course we all know was put out there with United being close to that 5 wins in a row thing. But before I get to that one, also being an international member since I was 18 years old, now 43. Yikes, I'm 43. I'm 44, dude. I get the feeling. Trust me, I really, really do. But how do you feel, mate, as an international fan? And I would put myself in that category as well, because I live in Ireland. Obviously not as far away as your good self, but I'm sick of being disrespected as a Liverpool fan who doesn't, live in the city. And I'm not talking about local fans here. I'm not having a dig at them at all. I'm talking about some of the journalists, and I'm certainly talking about some of the feeling seemingly seeping out of the club towards toxic online fans or international fans. It's like, our money's good enough. Happy to take that money. You look at all the hospitality seats that get sold. A lot of them are people who come in for a game every now and again or make a once-in-a-lifetime trip across. And I'm kind of at my wit's end, trying to defend myself, my own support of the club, and other online fans or other fans from around the world who, might not ever get the chance financially or otherwise to go to Anfield, but love them from afar. It's grating when you're constantly being made to feel like you're not wanted, but your money is. And it's really pathetic. So I was just wondering, mate, if it bothers you as much as it does me, because it really, really, really gets on my nerves. Right, so this piece here from the Opta analyst said if Manchester United beat West Ham, they'd have reached 5 successive wins in all comps for the first time since February 2024. But current Premier League clubs in all comps, days since 5 wins in a row. So Chelsea have 10 days since 5 wins in a row. Aston Villa, 45 days since 5 wins in a row. Manchester City, 45 days since 5 wins in a row. Arsenal, 98 days since 5 wins in a row. Liverpool, 140 days since the Reds won 5 games in a row in all competitions. 140 days. I don't know, lads. Again, it's just another measuring stick that doesn't look great. Leeds, 176 days. Burnley, 283. Wolves, 290. Newcastle, 300. But we're Liverpool Football Club. Angie, how are you, mate? Good evening, Craig. I think Slot has been told if we don't qualify for the Champions League, he'll be sacked. But if we don't, then it's too late. Well, that definitely seems to be the narrative, Angie. Carragher was saying it over the last couple of weeks as well on his few bits and pieces, that seems to be the line in the sand. But I'm with you. I'm with you in that I don't want it to be too late. Now, it looks like we could be in luck. Chelsea have dropped points. If I'm not mistaken, United are still about to drop points, right? If I'm not mistaken from the scoreline, and I haven't kept up with it. So tomorrow we have an opportunity to put ourselves back in the mix. So this game tomorrow feels like it's taken on more significance now, because there's a chance there for us to really put the pressure on, and we've got to take it. We've got to take it. We've got to make tomorrow count. Mark said, I'd be devastated if I'd waited all my life to get to watch Liverpool and then get tickets to a game, fine, or it's stranded, gutted. So it's not that I waited all my life to go to a game, because it was about 3 years since I was last over. But this year, I got to go to my bucket list game. A game that I've dreamt about going to since I was a kid, but could never have afforded to go, because, I don't have a way to get tickets. So like everybody else, I would have had to go to a travel agent or pay for a premium ticket. So I'd always wanted to go to Liverpool, Manchester United. This year, we made the decision, feck it, we're going to buy hospitality tickets to have that once-in-a-lifetime bucket trip to go watch Liverpool play Manchester United. So we did that, made the trip over, had friends come over from the United States that came for their game as well, made the pilgrimage to Anfield. 63 seconds in, we're 1-0 down, and we end up losing the game 2-1. And the reason I bring it up is, this was the same time that Arna had just gone over to Dubai for his October break. And we'd been on the back of a 3-game loss. And it just felt like, fuck this. Like, truly, not because we lost, but because I could even feel then that he didn't feel right. And people were trying to justify or excuse him going over there to say he could still work with his laptop and he could still blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but he couldn't be on the training ground. He could have been looking at the younger players then. There's so much he could have been doing. He could have been with the coaches in person, figuring stuff out, bouncing ideas off each other. And so many times with Arna, I felt like people are just excusing stuff that nobody else would be getting away with. It's just not good enough. The partying at the end of last season is bullshit. That's small club mentality stuff, to be partying before the season's over. And he got excused all the failures last year because we won the Premier League. Got excused going out and after rimming PSG, couldn't praise them enough, got knocked out by them. Plymouth Argyle, he tried to blame the whole thing and still apparently harbours resentment towards Chiesa for that, according to reports. And then you've got the fact that we lost the League Cup final to Newcastle and were outfought, outthought and outwitted on the day. All of that carried into this season where we've been nowhere near good enough in the league. And people are still trying to say, like, anybody who has anything negative to say about Arna or the way we're playing is toxic and trolling. Again, fuck you. That's just not true. Stop trying to tell us all that what we're seeing and what we're feeling isn't real and genuine, or most importantly, isn't valid. Because it is. I'm telling you, you're in the majority here. Majority. People who back the manager right now, they're the toxic people. They're the toxic assholes. Because they're denying reality. And they're trying to tell you that you're a bad person. You're an asshole for daring to have an opinion or hold a standard. That you're not a real fan. Again, fuck you. That's absolutely nonsense. And I've been loving sitting back watching this pushback grow against the people who are trying to tell us all that what we're seeing with our own eyes isn't the truth. That we don't know. We don't understand the Liverpool way. Blah, de, blah, de, blah. Even had Doyle yesterday coming out with this absolute pony. Let me just read this out for you. Hang on. Where's the one from the Arsenal fan? And by the way, can you stop having Arsenal and Everton fans trying to tell me how to be a Liverpool fan and the Liverpool way? That can fuck right off as well. Being spoken down to about the Liverpool way by people that aren't Liverpool fans? Fuck you. Right, so, where is it? Where's the piece from the little Arsenal jacket wearing clown? Where is he? It was basically trying to say that Liverpool have had a worse time before. All the way back when Paisley was Liverpool manager. And that Liverpool went on to finish 5th in the league that year but won the European Cup in a season of change. But what he neglects to mention, Mr. Doyle, is that this is Arna's second season. This isn't Arna's first season where he's just come in and become the Liverpool manager. Because I promise you, everybody would be far more understanding if this was his first season. Because then we'd think, okay, well, he's getting to grips with it. He's figuring it out. He's not used to the league. He's not used to his players. But it isn't. He came in and set a standard of winning. And now when the standard's dropping, we're supposed to accept it after the spending that he's been given. It's just not being good enough. And this toxic positivity needs to stop. Because fans aren't going to continue to pay their money to be happy clappers, to look at something that they know isn't good enough. We know what we're capable of. We've seen it. We see it in flashes. We know what players we have. Stop trying to tell us that the standard of football is okay and we just need to trust the process. Because what is the process? Is the process to let players' contracts run down and walk out the door for nothing? Is the process to have players who can't play 75 minutes or more because they're exhausted? What is the process that we're supposed to trust? Because as Stargirl said to me in a super chat a few weeks ago, what happened to the identical Arna that was supposed to be like Jurgen? What happened to that philosophy and brand of football? Well, what seems to have happened is the very first time he gets to put his own stamp on the team, he shits the bed. And I'm supposed to just accept that, shrug my shoulders and carry on. No. Go back to what fucking got us here or fuck off. It's that simple. I don't understand how this is difficult to get your head around. He had a brand of football. And don't buy this crap about the league changing, by the way. Don't buy this shit about a few more set pieces this season, it being a physical league, as being a reason. Because it being a physical league should suit us down to the ground. Because under Jurgen, we were animals. And I mean that in a complimentary way. We were hunting in packs, we were up in your face, and we were aggressive. And people feared playing us. Right now, we're a soft touch. And it comes across that way. That's how I feel. And that's why I think the manager isn't good enough. Because this is his second year. So he had a whole year to assess the squad, which he won the league with. And then he comes up with his own way of playing, shits the bed, and it's everybody else's fault. Everybody else's fault. It's the wind's fault. It's the referee's fault. It's we've been unlucky. It's the fucking statistics' fault. It's been everybody's fault but Arna's. Branca said, mate, all I can say is I bleed the club more than my own sporting teams here. Same goes with a lot of Red supporters down there. I know. I've had the pleasure, mate, of interacting with Liverpool fans from Australia over the last few years. A lot of them telling me stories about having to go into pubs like before they close because they lock the doors at like 11 or something like that. Don't let anybody else in, but the games aren't on till like 3, 4 in the morning. I know, mate. I feel your pain, and I absolutely empathise with you because, yeah, you deserve to at least feel connected to your club. Oh, United have equalised in that game. So how long? That must be nearly over. Surely that's over. I agree with you, Craig, about the toxicity, and it's not like you haven't given Slot credit where it's due. That's why Dominic King really pissed me off the other day. Because he jumps on to react to a clip of me in the height of anger and thinks he knows everything about me and thinks that he gets to belittle my 8 years of working to build up this channel by thinking that I enjoy Liverpool losing and I profit off it. Nothing could be further from the truth. You all see me when Liverpool lose. Does that look like a happy man to you? Do you think I'm turning off the stream then and sitting here and counting out 50 € notes happy? Not at all. My wife will tell you, I'm at my happiest when Liverpool win. So that's why I'm so annoyed by the likes of that clown. That's probably never watched the stream, never came in to see me normally interacting with people, but thinks he knows everything about me. So I'm waiting for you guys to tell me if this is offside or if it stands. I was looking at the chat and you were saying that there's a check for it, but is it on? Is it given? Branca said, surely that guy can get a haircut now. 4 wins and a draw. United fans should give himself a haircut. Feel sorry for the bloke. I don't know. This is his whole shtick. Like, once he gets the haircut, that's it. There's no USP anymore there. So, goal given. So it's 1-1. Thank you, folks. Yvonne said, hi, I'm from Norway. I'm curious what you would choose. No Champions League next season and Arne sacked, or Champions League win this season and Arne stays. Without a doubt, Champions League win, Yvonne, without a doubt. I want Liverpool to win. And I've said it before. I've actually said it on streams. If Arne won the Champions League, you can't sack a manager then. You can't sack a manager that wins the Premier League and then wins the Champions League in a second season. Even with my own misgivings about him and annoyance of him, I would say that would be unfair. But, and here's the kicker, I don't want to wait to be proved right because I can't see us winning the Champions League. There's a chance, but I don't think it's likely. So if we're looking at the balance of probability, I think it's more unlikely that we do that than do it. And I also don't think it's good enough that scraping into 5th or 4th should be a standard from to keep his job. Because who does finishing 4th or 5th benefit? The owners. Doesn't benefit you or I as fans. We get to see Champions League football, fair enough. But we don't sign up to see Liverpool play Champions League football. We want Liverpool to win titles. Not just be there, not just make up the numbers. So Champions League football, of course, is important for the money and the attraction of certain players. But I just want to feel connected to the club. Like, if he won the Champions League this year and stuck around for next year, I honestly don't know whether I'd be here next year, because I don't know if I could go through another season of feeling the way I feel this season, which is confused, frustrated and angry. Which is some of these feelings I've never felt around football before for the reasons I'm feeling them now. Arne seems to be readjusting our objectives for the season after each torturous game. Thank you for saying that. Because it's not just him. It's some of the media as well. You and I know and remember what the expectations were. Or shall we say what the hope was for Liverpool fans in the summer. And it wasn't scraping into the Champions League. It was Liverpool to go out and defend this Premier League title. That was objective number 1. To put up a better title defence than we have the other time we won it. And we've been so far away from that. But you're right. They just keep reinventing the wheel and saying, well, now Liverpool have to finish in Champions League spots. But the only people that benefit from that really are the owners, the financial side of it. Look, but sorry, that's probably unfair. But it means more to them than it does to us. Because winning the league is what we're about. Winning the league is what we dreamt about for all those years. So to do that and start going backwards again, it's confusing. And it's another disappointing title defence. Only this time, the manager's been given a load of dough that other managers weren't given before him. Jurgen didn't get to win the league title and then have a load of dough thrown at it to go out there and try to defend it. But this guy has, and he's gotten worse. We've gotten worse, and we don't understand or like or identify with the brand of football. So, we asked you, do you expect Salah to leave this summer? 91% of people think yes, he's likely to go. Let's talk about Yan Diamonde for a second. Ben Spolchak put up a post earlier on to say, Yan Diamonde has won the most duels at 250 in the Bundesliga this season. He also averages the most successful take-ons of 4.5 per 90 minutes. Impressively, among attackers, only Luis Diaz has won possession more times than Diamonde. He's also the winger with the most chances created with 31 behind Diaz, who has 42, and Michael Olise. Just some of the impressive numbers that have caught my eye so far. But you know what this season has taught me? Truly, and I don't know if I'm on my own here, but this season has taught me the gap between the Premier League and the Bundesliga. Because we've seen Luis Diaz go in there and put up numbers that he never put up in a Liverpool shirt. And I just think it shows that the Bundesliga is miles behind the Premier League. Now, of course, Bayern Munich are their own entity and they're always going to be competitive in the Champions League and they have a great squad. But I feel a bit more nervous about bringing in players from the Bundesliga now, because I don't think it's a comparable thing to say, right, guys did this in the Bundesliga, Premier League. I think the Premier League is just so far above now that it's getting more and more difficult to gauge if these stats are going to cross over or not. Will Isak be ready for West Ham? I've no idea when to expect Isak back, mate, playing. And I don't want to give you any false information either. So I don't know. Truly don't know when to expect him back. There's a void between the Premier League and other leagues. One interesting example I found this year was Villarreal. So Villarreal were right up there at the top 5 or 6 in La Liga. Obviously qualified into the Champions League and then had such a poor showing in the Champions League that they didn't qualify for the knockout stages of it and finished so far down. And they're one of the better informed sides in La Liga. And I also feel like, you know the way people go on about the Premier League being the richest league and having the most competition for places and all this stuff. The likes of Bayern Munich, Barcelona and Real Madrid, they don't ever really have to contemplate not having Champions League football. Like, it's almost impossible for Barcelona and Real Madrid not to get Champions League football because their whole league and the television deal is set up to pay those clubs more money. So they can always cherry pick the best talent. Same with Bayern Munich over in the Bundesliga. So the Premier League is more competitive. And I think there's more jeopardy for the clubs in it. So I think the Premier League, in a way, deserves more money in it because it's a more competitive league. And the other leagues, let's be honest, are a little bit boring a lot of the time with regards to who's going to win them and who isn't. Although people might say, look, there was periods of dominance in the Premier League as well, and that's true. But over time, the Premier League is at least cyclical, where, you know, United had their time, Liverpool before them, Chelsea had a time, Arsenal had a time, Manchester City have 115 charges. Colin said, Slot might win us cups, but he'll never be a Liverpool legend. I think any manager, Colin, for me, that wins a league title deserves stature as a Liverpool coach. And for everything I say about Arne and all my frustrations with him and all my anger at him, I will always respect him for doing that. Like, he is a Premier League winning manager with Liverpool Football Club, and he will always and should always be welcomed back to the club in a friendly manner. And and deserves that respect. This is what I keep trying to say. I have respect for the man. I really do. I just don't think he's good enough for the job now. And it's very, I think two things can be right at once. I can respect him, but I can also think he's failing miserably this year and deserves to be fired. But he won the league title. And he won a league title, let's be honest, surprised us all. I don't remember last season thinking we were going to go in and win the Premier League. I really wasn't sure what to expect last season. So last season came as, it was probably, in a weird way, a bad thing for his Liverpool career that he won the league last year, because that was the standard set. And now he's got to keep up with that or get close to that, and he's fallen away this year. And I think the fact that he's doing that with so much money having been spent as well, it just makes it a really bad look. It just seems that the team durability and fitness is not near where it was when Klopp was the manager. So, excuse me, Stargirl, you've been brought up quite a bit tonight, mate, and I'm going to bring you up again. So, we talked about some of the reasons that Arne was brought into Liverpool. We spoke about the similarities to Jurgen and the style and philosophy of football. We spoke about the development of younger players. But here's something else that I want to talk about. One of the things, and I've credited Arne for this being one of the reasons we won the league last year, was that himself and Ruben Peters had a fantastic record of Feyenoord of having over 90% availability of first team players being fit week in and week out. So another thing that we have praised him for is now falling away, where we're getting more and more injuries. And the injuries are then leading to excuses, and the injuries are exposing the lack of squad depth. So again, where has that gone? Where is that thing that made him stand out, that made him different? And that was something that was spoken about quite a bit. Yeah, even if we, look back and the time, that was spoken about as being something that Liverpool liked, that Arne was overachieving with, smaller budgets. And he was keeping players fit. Well, how's that going this year? A. Michael said, sorry, Craig, even if we win the Champions League, I don't want Slot at our club. He's not for Liverpool. His mentality is delusional and his tactics have regressed. No path for us Slot out. Look, I would be absolutely fine with him being fired if we won the Champions League. I'm just trying to be fair about it and say I'd understand if they gave him another year if he won the Champions League. I wouldn't agree with it, but I'd understand it. Because if you come in and you deliver a Champions League and a Premier League year after year, like year one Prem, year two Champions League, it deserves, an acknowledgement. But where I really have the problem is I just don't, want to give the benefit of the doubt that long, because I don't think he's going to win us the Champions League. I just don't. What's your opinion on the United fan no longer getting a haircut? If I was him, I'd be delighted. Genuinely. Like I said, that's the USP here for that gentleman. And I don't know him. I'm certainly not trying to judge the lad. I don't know him from Adam. But that's his USP. That's his shtick, if you want to call it that. So once the haircut's done, then what? So, yeah. I think if I'm him, I'm probably having a wry little smile, because it carries on. The publicity carries on. Yeah. So I don't think from a content creation point of view, I'd be overly disappointed if I was in his position. I'd be thinking, all right, there's still legs in this to go. And fair play to him, by the way. Absolutely fair play to him. I don't begrudge him any of it. This has to be bollocks. Hang on. This has to be garbage. So, Tudor Mercado Web, credit Anfield Edition for the post. They say Liverpool are keen on signing AC Milan winger Christian Pulisic this summer, who's valued at €55 million or £48 million. I mean, come on. There's no way I can see Liverpool bringing in Pulisic now. We've already seen that his body couldn't cope with the rigours of the Premier League with Chelsea. And I would have absolutely liked Christian Pulisic when he was at Borussia Dortmund before he came to the Premier League. But, geez, not now. God, no. There's much better options out there. Did you know Anfield's named after a house in Wexford? So, I knew it was named after a place in Wexford, but I thought it was an actual field. So, yeah, I did know it was named after a place in Wexford, but I didn't know it was a house. I thought it was named after an area or a green area or something like that. But I did know about that connection, yeah. Which, again, kind of all these things that I found out over the year, Shane, when I decided to be a Liverpool fan as an 8-year-old, I didn't know about all these Irish connections and all this other stuff. But as I've gotten older and obviously learned about the emigration from Ireland and the boat going from Dublin to Liverpool and that being where a lot of Irish people settled, that only strengthened my bond with the football club. And that's why I feel that it's so egregious that us non-local or match-going fans are constantly being beaten with a stick online. Because there's so many deep-rooted connections for me as an Irishman with Liverpool Football Club that have really just strengthened my bond with the club over the years. So to see these pricks try to belittle fans who, they say go the game all the time, like we all have a choice. It's a conscious decision not to buy a season ticket. I'm sure if I offered a season ticket to the chat there, 99.99% of you would bite my hand off to buy a season ticket. But it's not possible. And it hasn't been possible since I've been a kid. You could have bought a hospitality ticket when the Carlsberg dugout was done, fair enough. I couldn't afford one at that point in my life, or I would have bought one. It's the whole reason this channel exists, is to make the connection and to stand up for and give a voice to people who feel disenfranchised by the club we all love. There shouldn't be any judgment about where in the world you live, how long you've liked the sport, how long you've liked our club. It should be, well, welcome in, let's educate each other. And if you are only new, well, you've joined the right club, you've joined the right fan base, welcome in, and let's educate each other. Rather than saying, local fans know all the songs, non-local fans don't, well, then just fucking teach them. Why not send out an attachment going, these are some of the songs that you're going to hear at Anfield when you travel over for the first time. We can't wait to welcome you to our beautiful city and to the, iconic Anfield. Here are some of the songs that you might hear. Maybe, get to know a few of them so you can sing along and join in with everyone. It just does my head in. Because in the one breath, it's like, gives your money, gives your money, gives your money. And then the next one is, well, you're only a half a fan. You're only entitled to so much of an opinion. It really, 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 this year more than any other, it just really seems to be focused on fuck you to us. And it just doesn't sit right with me. If a young Trent, Curtis, Jarrell or Elliott were still academy players under Slot, they would have never made their debut for Liverpool. Danke, Jurgen. Well, just look at what happened with Kwanzaa. Just look at straight away day one for Arna. First game of the season. What happens? Kwanzaa's not winning his duels. Gets binned off. Benched. Confidence gone. Then moved on to Bayer Leverkusen. But with a buyback clause in there if Liverpool wants to trigger it. So yeah, right away, day one, moment one, the tone was set. Mistake, fuck you. Doesn't matter about confidence, doesn't matter about development, doesn't matter about any of that. Mistake, you're done. Tyler Morton, not good enough, off you pop. How's he getting on now? Ask Leon fans how they feel about Tyler Morton. And I guarantee they absolutely love the kid. So yeah, I don't disagree. And this is yet another reason why Arna isn't the guy. Because he doesn't seem able to forge these relationships or put the confidence into these younger players. And again, it's borne out by the bench having the players on it, but them never getting anything other than fuck you minutes to protect his first teamers. And that's all it is. If you look at the minutes the likes of Chiesa and that are getting, it's only to rest the legs of the other players, or when we're in such desperation mode that he just has to empty the bench of any attacking talent. Nimrod Hurwitz said, pretty sure top 5 will be enough for them to justify keeping him. They'll also portray it as a massive achievement, and the mouthpieces will say how brave and smart they were not to sack him. I'm sure they will. I've got to be honest with you, mate, and I'm just being honest. I honestly, from my own selfish perspective, I don't know if I'll be here next year if Ireland is still here, because it's killing me this year to watch it. And it's killing me to say that out loud, that I don't enjoy watching my own football club as much as I have for the other, well, I'm a fan now 36 years, so 35 years of my existence. And it isn't because we're not winning, because I've lived through Roy Hodgson. I was here for the whole 30 years we didn't win the league title. So it's not like I'm a spoiled brat who just wants Liverpool and expects Liverpool to win everything every year. But I do expect a manager that's won a league title and given £450 million to bring in new talent. Yes, we recouped some money. I'm aware of that as well. But I want us to push on, not stand still, not go backwards. And I won't accept us going backwards, because it's a hard hill to climb to get to the top of the mountain. We're at the top of the mountain. I'd like to stay there and take in the view before I go tumbling back down the other side of it. And I feel like as fans, we haven't had a chance to pitch a tent at the top of that mountain and actually have a look at the view. We got up to it and then we're straight back down the other side of it, and the excuses are coming out again from the same people who tried to tell us what it means to be a Red. You go and ask the players who won league title after league title after league title if they were off partying before the season was over. You ask them, would it have been acceptable under the likes of, even going back as far as Paisley, Shankly, Fagan, would it have been acceptable to win a league title and then take a year off and just be falling down the league? Would it fuck? Not at all. There'd have been absolute murders in the dressing room. But now all of a sudden, the Liverpool way is to sit back and accept mediocrity? Fuck off. It's just bollocks used again to beat people with online. It's the Liverpool way. You don't understand it. What year did the boat go from Dublin to Liverpool? It went all the way up till I think it stopped going from Dunleary or Dublin. There's still a slow boat from Belfast over, but I don't know the exact year that the boat stopped going direct. My whole time gone over to watch Liverpool as a fan, I've had to go to Holyhead, so I don't know when it stopped going direct. But if you go back to the times of the famine and before and after, that was the port. You left Ireland and you docked in Liverpool. That's where the name, your Rooneys, your Carragers, all those type of Irish names coming from. Craig approves in the League Cup. The team he sent out with no backup on the bench, Saxlot. Do you know what he tried to say though, Stephen, for that League Cup debacle? That this club has a history of putting out young players in that competition. He neglected the part where we supplement them with first team players and we don't just throw them to the wolves. Like, I've spoken to a few people who went to that game that day, and as soon as they got where you've got your phone and you see the team sheet and you see the bench, all of their hearts sunk. All of it. Because they knew they were just being let out there. And if we conceded one goal, that was it. That team was put out there with a hope to get it through the penalties at best. And that's a competition that we've won more than any other team. And he sacrificed the trophy to try to get 3 points against Villa. It's just nonsense. I'm sick of him throwing on all the attackers towards the losing game in the last 5 minutes. So here's a question. Genuinely. Why is Alisson going up at the end of a game in the league game with 13 league games to go? Or 12 league games to go? Genuinely. That baffled me. It's not a cup game. We're not just about to get knocked out of a cup competition. Goalkeeper's up there in the middle of the park, going up the other end in a league game. The answer is desperation, because despite what they tried to say in the media, despite what some of the local journalists tried to tell you, the players feel the panic and the pressure. And that's why, because it really is last chance saloon this season. That's how desperate it's getting. And that's why your goalkeeper in a non-cup competition is up in the opposition half. Much like in years gone by when he scored a header, or much like when we scored a late goal against Everton. Desperation. That's it. It's not a cup game. I've never really seen it too much in the league. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but with that many games to go left in the league, it's not like we're 1 point off the top, and if we didn't win that, then we're fucked. It's desperation because the players feel it. What's this one? Aston Villa could look to agree a cut price deal with Liverpool for Harvey Elliott at around £20 million, despite the obligation to buy clause that becomes activated if the midfielder makes 10 appearances. It is likely that Liverpool would accept such an offer. Hand on heart, though, if I'm Harvey Elliott, I'm probably not wanting to stay at Aston Villa, with all due respect to them, because I wouldn't feel like I've been truly backed. They either think you're good enough or you don't, and they don't think you're good enough to play you 10 times and pay 35 million quid for you, then, why are you suddenly good enough at 20 million quid? I don't know. Just for me, if I was in Harvey Elliott's position, I'd be looking for a move elsewhere, but yeah, as I said, I'm not in his position, and I genuinely have nothing but goodwill towards Harvey Elliott. I love the kid. I think he's a brilliant player, and I wish he never left Liverpool. Arna can't handle humans. It's always about him. Egotist. He coaches like he's playing FIFA. I just want Shabby, please. Appreciate you, mate. Appreciate your input, Itachi. Thank you. Shane said, I know you said 3-2, but could you see a world where we lose? Of course. It's the Premier League. And like I was saying earlier on, it's a competitive league, especially away from home. It's definitely possible. Sunderland have a very good record at home in the Premier League this year, which is, going to be a big reason why they stay up. And, let's remember, it would be stupid of me not to think we might lose it, because we drew with them at home at Anfield not too, long ago. So if we draw with them at home, yeah, it's not out of the realms of possibility at all that we could lose the game away. I still believe we're good enough that we should be able to win it, but of course it's possible. What will be interesting actually is Broberry tomorrow as well. He's a very physical centre forward, so it's going to be interesting watching him with Virgil and Canade in that physical battle tomorrow. Because Broberry really is, put himself about kind of centre forward. Who do you think will play right back tomorrow? I think it'll be Jones, but it should be Ramsey. I put Endo in my team because, again, I just know he's not going to play Ramsey, so what's the point? And I wanted Jones in a different area of the park, but I think maybe Jones. In my team, I'm pretty sure I left McAllister out of it, if I remember correctly, because, again, I don't think he's been good enough. If I remember correctly, my 11 was Alisson, Endo, Canade, Virgil, Kirkes, Jones, Maka, Wirtz, Chiesa, Ekitike, Salah. I think that was the 11 I put in my predicted 11, if my memory's right. Arne Slot asked if his job would be safe if Liverpool did not qualify for the Champions League. The only thing I do know is that it happened before, and recently Jurgen Klopp in 22-23, and it didn't affect the future of that manager. But that doesn't guarantee anything, of course. He added, in general, managers, especially at this club, are judged not just on league finishes, and at some clubs they also look at the process and the players make and the progress the team makes. The circumstances are sometimes taken into account. Arne, you aren't Jurgen. You don't have the will in the bank, the goodwill in the bank that Jurgen has. You aren't showing progression. Jurgen showed progression. And Jurgen had extenuating circumstances around some of the poorer seasons he had. You've won the league and been backed with Wirtz, Ekitike, Isak, Frimpong and Kirkes. And you're out here bitching. It's just another reason I'm sick of this man. Truly sick of him at this point. It's just self-survival and what's best for me. And the narrative, the excuses, the tone just changes every single interview. When he won the league, it was like I keep saying, no, this isn't 2 league titles in 35 years. This is 2 in 5 years. Then all of a sudden, when he wants to use it as an excuse, he's, oh, well, this club have only won 2 leagues in 30 years. Or this club 2 years ago were playing against Atalanta in the Europa League. I mean, the man is just a fucking clown. I've nothing else to say at this point. He's just coming out with garbage and expecting us to just accept it and not call it out. It's nonsense. It's just so silly. Liverpool bench Bochak says they're keeping a close eye on FC Northland midfielder Caleb Urenki after trying to sign the 20-year-old in January, Ben said. Keep an eye on that one. Mr. SMC787 said, hi Craig, was at the match Sunday. I feel like it was a game for neutrals as I felt both teams didn't deserve to win. Those last 10 minutes were painful. I felt like a draw was probably a fair result in the game, to be honest with you, mate. So yeah, I get where you're coming from. It was just soul destroying seeing us, throw it away at the end again. And then, of course, the salt in the wounds was losing Dominic Soboslai for this game as well midweek, where we really could have done with him. So I don't think you're too far wrong in your assessment. I think a draw probably would have felt like a fair result, but, it is what it is. What's this now he's come out with? It's maybe more fair to say that if Alex had been fit, we would have spoken about this as well. Luis Diaz is another example of how this club is run. If this club gets for a 28-year-old an offer like that, then because it's built on sustainability, it chooses to sell a player. We're an exception in the Premier League, especially at the top of the Premier League. Fuck off. Just shut up. Just shut up talking, you absolute... Now he's trying to say we're a selling club. We're a selling club now. That's what he's trying to say. Because we have to sell 28-year-olds. He's just... You've been given £450 million worth of talent, you fucking space cadet. Stop waffling on like we're some National League outfit. He keeps trying to make out like we're some small little club. Mate, you're at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Act like it. He's in full arse-licking mode now. He's in full self-sustaining arse-licking mode where he just wants the owners to hear every excuse possible. This club, this club, this club. You don't get this club. You just don't get it. You just don't. Not replacing Diaz was a joke, though. It's a double joke. It's a double joke because, one, we got the not replacing them part, which was in itself frustrating enough. But then we had the dangling of a generational young talent and us not wanting to block the pathway for young Rio Engamoa. Well, answer me this. Genuinely, answer me this question. When Rio Engamoa scored the goal against Newcastle and we won that game 3-2, did you, like me, think that that was going to be the launch pad for Rio and that was him proving that he's ready now? Not every single week, because he is still a young player, but that point, he comes on, scores a goal without taking the touch, shows great composure in the highest of pressure of environments, in a bear pit atmosphere, and the kid comes on, bails you out with the winner, and yet you're the only one blocking the pathway for this kid. That is nuts. Absolutely nuts. That should be the time you unleash him on the world. Full of confidence and ready to go. Revisionism of players like Diaz and Nunes. I'm sorry, but Diaz never got numbers. He has a Bayern because he's one of the Bundesliga's now, and two, even his best season was still inconsistent. It just shows, James, that the Bundesliga and the Premier League are poles apart in terms of quality, mate, is what it shows to me. Because you're right. You know, he's doing it over there, but he never really put up those type of consistent numbers over here, did he? So it is just, again, bullshit. We all know why Luis Diaz went. Because the Liverpool didn't want to give him the money for the contract. That's it. That's the reason. And he wanted out. Probably helps as well. Because he was willing to go to Man City before that, as per reports. So, again, everything that he's saying now is just to cover his own arse. That's it. Thank you. Gemini the Kid, excuse me. Itachi said next season will be fire. Isak, Ekitike, Vert, Soboslai, Kirkes, Frimpong settled and fit with Xabi Alonso. I was reading through your comment and I was thinking, yep, you're probably right. And I was saying to myself before I finished reading it, but just without Arna. Just please not with Arna. Yeah. I just think if the club really took the temperature of the fans, they'd understand that this isn't a spoiled brat situation where fans just expect wins every week. This is the manager is just distancing himself and putting a bigger divide between him and the fans every single week. Would you agree with that statement? That as every week that goes by, he's saying something or doing something which is growing that divide or stopping any connection between us and him. Because that's how I feel right now. Is that every time he speaks, I shiver. And I told you the other day, in all honesty, I can't even listen anymore to the press conferences. I just read the transcripts because I can't bring myself to listen to him talk because he just winds me up and it just doesn't do it for me. He just keeps insulting somebody, the club, the stature of the club, the fans, the players, just one insult after another or one little slide dig after another. Abdul Khan, said, we bought expensive marquee signings instead of strengthening the squad in all of the positions. That's not on Arna, though, to be fair. If we're talking about player acquisition, that's a Richard Hughes issue, you know. So there is something to that. You're right, because look at what Arsenal this season. Arsenal have built out the squad this season to have that depth. Even with the likes of Piero and Capier is a late signing. So I agree with you. We bought, but I would add a little bit, if you don't mind me, Abdul, to what you've said, mate. Maybe you don't agree with it, but I'm going to add a bit onto your comment. It feels like we brought these players in and didn't really have a clear pathway or plan for exactly how we were going to utilise them. Because we've seen Wirtz tried in 2, 3, maybe 4 different positions. Isak, like he's making out like Isak getting an injury, which is a freak injury because it's a fractured leg. But if there's one thing we all would have said is an area that might give you pause for concern about Isak, it's potential injuries. So we knew that. We understood that was part of the risk when we were signing him. Now, this is a freak injury. Like I said, a fractured leg is not, a muscle thing or anything like that. But we knew it was a possibility. So rather than make excuses, you have to find solutions. And he hasn't. And he won't look to the youth. As he keeps saying, won't, doesn't. So the only option he has now is to play players out of position. And that has knock-on effects everywhere else. But there's always an excuse. There's always an excuse. I'd 100% accept a loss under Xabi Alonso more than under Arna. We're missing heart and identity. It's also, if you look at the way we've lost this season, I spoke about this stat earlier on, but I think since we're having this conversation now, it probably fits into talking about it again. Bear with me one sec. So the stat from most result-altering 90th minute goals conceded. We're top of the table with 6 goals that have altered results in the 90th minute or further this season. That's a mentality issue. He'll tell you it's bad luck or something, but it's not, because it almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. At Bournemouth, when we conceded that late winner, you were angry, but were you shocked? When Manchester City came back and won at the end, you were angry, but were you shocked? Because, unfortunately, I have to say that these days the answer to that is no. I'm not shocked, but I'm definitely angry. Caleb, excuse me, mate. Where am I? Caleb, excuse me, mate. Welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you. He seemed to have sold Wirtz with a plan. I don't see the plan at all. Well, the plan was, according to reports, and again, we're not in the conversations, the plan was, you're going to be my number 10. You're going to be the guy. Now, in fairness, recently, he has started to utilise him in the 10 role more and more and more centrally. And he does seem to have a little bit more freedom to wander, pick up pockets of space and impact the game. So, look, I'll give him credit there. But eventually, being the key word, eventually we got there. 123 Jam 78 said, he's took the fire away from the team and fans, plus the belief we had. Yep. What's this one? So Sam Maguire posted to say, we have 3 senior right backs out injured. Dominic Szoboszlai is suspended, but Calvin Ramsey still can't get a game. No academy prospects are deemed good enough. And again, I'm a big fan of Sam's work and Ben's work and the work they do over at Anfield Watch. And they've put up some great work this year. And he's not wrong again, is he? You know, if I said that, Dominic King would be on with his knickers in a twist telling me that I'm a toxic asshole. But, you know, that's just because, let's be honest, he just doesn't like that I have the platform that I do. But that's his problem. But Sam's right. And then backseat man LFC Barry posted underneath that to say, does my head in people saying he's not good enough? Neither was Reece Williams. His only experience had been in the National League North before he helped us get Champions League. Putting players in their natural positions and maybe taking a week off calling them shit in public can do wonders. Not wrong, gentlemen. Not wrong. But again, you know, we're supposed to believe that the real fans are all behind Arnott. No. The real fans are all of us. And almost to a man, woman and child now, are seeing flaw after flaw in his character, in his development of players, and most importantly, and the thing that really winds me up, is his belittlement of the club he's coaching. That is absolutely unacceptable. Anfield Arena, can I have a shout out? Of course you can, my friend. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. Martin Lawrence said, Craig, we've dropped 10 points this season to goals conceded after 80th minute. No fitness, heart, lack of discipline and belief. That stems from the manager. And again, coming back into the fitness thing, as Stargirl said, this was supposed to be one of the things that was almost identical to Jurgen. You know, when you look through the data, well, the brand of football was supposed to be similar. He was supposed to be, you know, good at keeping players fit. All of these things that we've praised or were brought in to believe he was going to do, he's gone backwards with this year. And what M said, hi mate, I'm late to the stream. What's the news on Mo? No problem, bro. No problem. Let me just get the notes for you here and I'll read it out for you. Just bear with me, sir. Give me 2 secs. Right, so Santi is Arus or Arum. I'm not sure the gentleman's. It's Santi_J_FM if you're on X. And I believe he writes for Foot Mercado. Said, breaking, Al Ittihad have open talks with Mohamed Salah's representatives over a potential move next summer. Goes on to say that Salah and his agent are in discussions with Al Ittihad. And unlike last year, Salah is much more open to an arrival in Saudi Arabia. And this could satisfy all parties. Now, there was another piece that came out earlier on to say that there was 30 to 50 million maybe on the table there for Liverpool in the transfer fee. Jack Rosser said, we drew against West Ham. Carrick isn't making excuses about playing against a low block. Must be nice, that. Must be nice having even an interim come in and not just start making excuses. Yeah, you know, that I forgot about that, actually. I haven't even brought up the low block thing. Like, he came out earlier in the season and basically cried the teams aren't playing the way he wants them to play. And how dare they sit back and defend deep. Go play outside attacking football end to end because that suits us more. As if what other teams, what we want is important to other teams. He was given the tools to unpick the low block. That's why you got your Ekatikes, your Verts, your Frimpongs. But he still bangs on about that as an excuse. Jacob said, Craig, I don't know where I saw it, but I hear Liverpool are going to sell Chiesa for 22 to 26 million. I think I covered that yesterday, mate. Just bear with me. I think that was on the news we covered yesterday, but just let me flag through really quick. Yeah, here it is here from Called Offside. Liverpool are open to selling Federico Chiesa in the summer with with their continued doubts about his ability to adapt to the pace of the Premier League, and the club's asking price is 22 to 26 million pound. Now, I just don't believe we're ever going to get that, because we bought him when he was younger for a lot less, and it's not like we've brought him on since we've been at Liverpool. He's gotten older, played less football, and needs more time to get back up to speed. So if we can get 22 to 26 million, happy days. But I'm not expecting it. I want to also go back to Corbally Red's post, which was records that Salah has broken at Liverpool. And he said, dare anyone to keep defending him. Worst run of any Liverpool manager in 71 years. First Liverpool manager with 5 straight domestic cup defeats. First time in 3 consecutive league losses by 3 goals or more since 1965. Most 90th minute winners conceded in the Premier League season with still 3 months left to go. Worst 20-game stretch than Roy Hodgson. First Liverpool manager to lose 19 games in a calendar year. And on track for the worst Premier League title defence in history. And he said Hughes and Edwards need sacking for backing him too. That's where we're at. But, if you dare speak up, you're toxic. Sacked in March break to give new coach some time, said Adam Christmas. Well, also, it was March or April? Gerrard is able, from a tax perspective, to start working again. Look, I don't know what's going to happen. I think my gut feeling is he'll get the rest of the season, come what may. But we'll wait and see. Excuse me. We'll wait and see. Happy Craig, I said, can you repeat the Salah news? Just did it, mate. Literally just went back over it a second ago. Basically, the gist of it is that they feel like there's a willingness for Salah to go to Al Ittihad at this point, and that it's probably at its closest as those conversations have ever been about him going to the Saudi Pro League. When I say the manager's bad, everyone says I hate my club. You're entitled to your opinion, mate. And saying that the manager's bad at the minute, I don't think is an outlandish statement. But, none of us take any pleasure in saying it. And I'm sure you're the same. It is what it is. But the good news, folks, and there is some good news. The good news is let's have a look at the Premier League table right now and look ahead to tomorrow. Because Chelsea drop points and United drop points. So right now, if Liverpool were to beat Sunderland tomorrow, we'd close to within 2 points of Chelsea and we'd be within 3 points of United with 11 to go. So a win tomorrow is pivotal. Right now we're in 6th place, kind of joined with Brentford. Only difference is we've scored a few more goals than them, but they've won more games than us. But we're ahead of them in the league table. Everton lost today, so that gives us a bit of breathing room there. So there is now a big importance on tomorrow's game. So fingers crossed, we can go up to the Stadium of Light and get the win and start reeling in Chelsea or Manchester United, because we're better than we're showing. And as much as I want Arne to go, my desire for Liverpool to win is always more. So I'm not going to sit here and say I want to lose tomorrow so Arne gets fired. That couldn't be further from the truth. I want us to win. I want us to do well. but I still don't think he should be here in the summer one way or the other. But at least today, results went in our favour a little bit. So 2 draws for Chelsea and United. Now it's over to us, because this is the advantage of playing after them, is they've dropped the points. If they won, it would have ratcheted up the pressure on us more. But now we know what we need to do. Go out there, win, and close that gap. Start putting the pressure on them, because both of them are going to have some inconsistencies as well. Manchester United obviously have that, new bounce about them from bringing in Carrick. Chelsea have a new manager in themselves, and, they're inconsistent. I mean, drawing at home to Leeds shows you that. So there's points there to be dropped this season. But we need to find our own consistency, and we need to start grinding out results. So fingers crossed it starts tomorrow, but it isn't going to be an easy game. We know that. They came and played very well at Anfield, left with a draw, and they probably felt like they could have got more from it. So let's see what happens tomorrow up at the Stadium of Light, because it's a big one. Right, I'm going to say goodnight, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you guys. I probably have a news video tomorrow before the game. Connor probably have one out in the morning as well. But if I don't see you, remember, it's a little bit later than normal for the kickoff tomorrow. It's an 8:15 kickoff. So we'll be live here on the channel from 7 o'clock to take you through the game, match reaction, player ratings video. Don't forget to enter our giveaway as well. We're giving away a signed Jurgen Klopp frame shirt completely free. Scan the QR code or use the link in the description for further details. And that is with thanks to our friends at the Collector's Corner. We're going to be giving away one signed item every month throughout 2026. And on top of that, you can treat yourself to something from the collectorscorner.co.uk and get 20% off by using our code Anfield Agenda 1 at checkout. That's 20% off with using the code Anfield Agenda 1 at the collectorscorner.co.uk. You should really have a look on the site, honestly. They sell UFC stuff, F1 stuff, football stuff, acting stuff, musical stuff. It's brilliant. I've bought so much stuff from there myself over the last year or two. Look, ladies and gents, really appreciate you. Love you to bits. See you tomorrow at 7 o'clock, where fingers crossed the Reds can get back to winning ways. We'll talk then. Bye-bye.